speak clearly today, but I can speak vocally. Well, it's kind of early this year, but it seems to me that spring has sprung. I have heard that some flowers are blooming and certain bikers have taken to the road. How many do we have outside? 4? 5? 5? Now, it's not that way in the east. In fact, I have a slide for you. That's what it looks like on the East Coast. I don't know if any of you have looked on the NASA website, but they have a picture from the, what's that thing up there called?
The space station?
Yeah, it's International Space Station. And that's about what it looks like. But
It's 10 below in Ohio this morning.
22 below in Fairbanks, Alaska. Praise God, we live in Washington.
Yes.
well, this year has been really bad for those poor people on the East Coast. Let me get a cup of coffee here. I really enjoy my cup of coffee. Well, speaking about a cup of coffee, I heard that earlier this year that one Indian chief from the Passamaquoddy tribe up in Maine became kind of concerned of what the weather was going to be like this winter. So he called the National Weather Service. And he was told that it would be a very cold winter indeed. So as a result, he told his tribe to go out and gather firewood. So a week later, he called and checked again, just to make sure. And he said, yeah, it's going to be a very cold year here in Maine. So the chief, again, with even more emphasis this time, told his tribal members to go out and gather as much firewood as they could possibly gather. Well, another week passed, and the chief called the National Weather Service again and asked them if they were absolutely certain it was going to be cold and snowy. The weather guy said, yes, it must be going to be a very severe winter because the Indians are out gathering firewood like crazy this year. All right. So I guess that explains a thing or two. This week I was paging through my Bible. Yes, I do own one. And ran across some verses that I thought that I would share with you today. Much like today's firewood story, there really is no particular point in today's sermon that I'm trying to make, other than the goal of just sharing these few parables with you. Anyway, all of these come from Matthew 13, starting with verse 3. A farmer went out to sow his seed. As he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among the thorns, which grew up and choked the plants. Still other seed fell on good soil, where it produced a crop, 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. Whoever has ears, let him hear. The disciples came to him and asked, "Why do you speak to the people in these parables?" He replied, "Because the knowledge of the secrets of the kingdom of heaven have been given to you, but not to them. Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. This is why I speak to them in parables. Though seeing, they do not see. Though hearing, they do not hear or understand. In them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah. You will be ever hearing, but never understanding. You will be ever seeing, but never perceiving. For this people's heart has become calloused. They hardly hear with their ears, and they have closed their eyes. Otherwise, they might see with their eyes, hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I tell you, many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, but did not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. Listen then to what the parable of the sower means. When anyone hears the message about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what was sown in their heart. This is the seed sown along the path. The seed falling on rocky ground refers to someone who hears the word and at once receives it with joy. But since they have no root, they last only a short time. What trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. The seed falling among the thorns refers to someone who hears the word, but the worries of this life and the deceitfulness of wealth choke the word, making it unfruitful. But the seed falling on good soil refers to someone who hears the word and understands it. This is the one who produces a crop, yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. So regardless of the results, the farmer goes out and sows that seed, having faith that his crops will rise up out of the ground and produce an abundant crop. It is a good analogy for pastors and lay ministers as well. Here at Trinity, in a farmer's grange building, farmers Roland, Michael, Chris, and myself try to plant those seeds of faith. But what happens after that is largely up to the Holy Spirit. Trying to choke someone into faith by shoving a Bible down their throat is not going to help gain converts. If you have shared the basic gospel with someone, one of your friends, then you have done your duty. To continue to push your beliefs on someone only builds resentment. So let go and let God. Well, anyway, Jesus continues on with the parable of the weeds. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed heads, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, "Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Where then did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he said. The servants asked him, "Do you want us to go and pull them up?" "No," he answered, "because while you are pulling the weeds, you may upset the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time, I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn." Then he left the crowd and went into the house. His disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field." He answered, "The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed stands for the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the harvesters are angels. As the weeds are pulled up and burned in the fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. They will throw them into the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Whoever has ears, let them hear." Getting a little warm in here, maybe. For those who believe in a more modern theology and don't believe there is a literal hell, I would refer you again to verse 42. Verse 43 refers to believers being refined in the afterlife. Reading in Psalm 66, verse 10, "For you, God, tested us. You refined us like silver. You brought us into prison and laid burdens on our backs. You let people ride over our heads. We went through fire and water, but you brought us to a place of abundance." So here, Jesus says that we are going to shine like the sun, refine like silver, but on the way, we are going to go through some very difficult times. Life ain't easy, and it wasn't supposed to be. Returning to Matthew 13, Jesus goes on in verse 31 with the parable of the yeast and the mustard seed. He told them another parable. "The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. he told them still another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed into about 60 pounds of flour until it worked all through the dough. Jesus spoke all these things to the crowd in parables. He did not say anything to them without using a parable. So was fulfilled what was spoken through the prophet. I will open my mouth in parables. I will utter things hidden since the creation of the world. I take it here that Jesus was showing us in these two parables how the kingdom is to grow. Plant a little seed and watch someone's faith grow. Then when they have grown into a tree of faith, others, symbolized by the birds, will hang around them and eat the seeds of the mustard, and so on and so forth. In the parable of the yeast, he is saying that if you put some faithful people amongst the general population, that their faith will work throughout society. In verse 44, we have another parable, that of the hidden treasure and the parable of the pearl. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all that he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought the pearl. So when you finally find the kingdom of heaven, you will perceive that it is so valuable that you would give up anything and everything you have to obtain it and keep it. Well, that's what I wanted to share with you today. How the gospel and our faith can be expected to spread. So if you should have the opportunity to share in love and joy what you have found in Jesus, do so in a loving and a considerate manner. Remember that not everybody will receive your message, and those that don't, those that do, will not always stick with it. For those who find faith, invite them into our community so that their faith might grow and flourish, establishing deep roots so that they are not pulled back into that old life. Worship team,